All right, I've started recording. I'll just give a welcome to my colleague Marié, who will be presenting this session today.
Yes, Kuchner, I'm here. Shall I start?
Yes, I think we can begin.
Good, thank you so much. Let me just share my screens along. I'm going to. Okay, I'm going to share my whole screen because I'm going to go to and fro between slides and the web. Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be part of this Research Week program this week. And I hope some of you haven't seen these, these slides of me before. Some of you have maybe attended the data visualization webinar earlier this year. But what I'm trying to do here, because we only have an hour, is try to combine some of the content of the different webinars we already had. And I won't go through everything because it's quite a vast PowerPoint slides with lots of information. But you can go through it in your own time as well. So I will just go through the most important aspects. Right. So we can start. The content will be more or less this. We will start with the question, why is it important to visualize data? Then know your audience, define the story and how to choose a visualization type, the effective use of color, visualizing qualitative data and networks. And then at the end, I will just list a few slides to give you guidance on tools that exist for data analysis and data visualization. Good. So this is just a slide to show you what the data visualization process will be all about. Of course, the first step is to get your data, to do the research, retrieve your data in any way that you would do. There's lots of different ways and different methods of collecting data. After you've collecting it, you will start to get to know the data. Work a bit with it, play with it, see what it's all about, what came out, etc. And then you will have to set goals on what you would like to achieve with working with your data further, and decide will it be good to visualize some of the data or not. And then, of course, the decision what to visualize. And I think this is maybe the most important step of this process, because you will need to see what is the high flyers, what comes out, what's the most important part of your data which you would like to visualize. And then the process will continue with first cleaning the data, then the visualization process, then maybe a bit designing that will further continue to make your graph better looking, or just design it a bit further, working with colors, etc. And then, of course, exporting and embedding it in your document with whatever you are working with. Sorry, I think there is someone that's not muted. I hear a bit of feedback. Thank you. So the last step is the exporting and embedding it in your thesis or your dissertation or in any other document, report, or whatever you are working with. Okay, the next the first question that we will ask here is, why is it important to visualize? So here is just a few things we can look at, but is the importance of data visualization. Now, firstly, the visualization of a data assists the human brain to understand your data better, and it makes it easier for you as a researcher to detect the patterns and the trends and outliers in your research data. And the primary reason to visualize will also be to communicate a point or a finding that's revealed in your analysis. And then, of course, to add credibility to your research, to tell your stories with numbers and visualizations then. So data is also more persuasive when shown in graphs or any other visualization, because of the human brain that understands the data better when it's visualized. So it then can also be more persuasive when you show it in this way. Effective data visualization can also increase the impact of your research and your engagement efforts. So this is some of the reasons why this is so important. Then, according to Angela Zoss, she's a librarian at Duke University Library. And according to her, there's two broad goals of visualization, data visualization. I did get permission from her to use some of her work. Her library guide on this topic is very good set out, so I will also show you that bit as a place where you can find more help on this topic. So firstly, the first broad goal is that you will visualize to analyze. So in this way, you will explore and analyze your data relationships, try many views and combinations to find the meaningful story in your data. Then the second broad goal is to visualize for communication. So this is a little bit a different angle. You will maybe create different type of visualizations when you do it for just purely communication purposes. You construct the visualization here with a goal in mind, and also to take the audience into account when you look at this. Sorry, the image is now obstructing the text here, but yeah, and then there's also what she also made clear in her information on data visualization is that there's three types of data visualization. So data visualization is the umbrella term, usually covering both information and scientific visualization. So this is a general way of talking about anything that converts data sources into a visual representation. Anything like charts, graphs, maps, or sometimes just even tables, normal tables. So firstly, scientific visualization is generally the visualization of scientific data have close ties to real-world objects with spatial properties. So here it's important that different scientific fields often have very specific conventions for doing their own types of visualizations. And I think you all will know that in your specific field, you work with a certain type of visualization when you work with your data. And you will get to know that as you work in your field. So it's sometimes then maybe for us who deliver a service in this type of with assisting you with your visualizations, it might be difficult for us to know exactly what is your type of visualization in your field. So you'll have to look carefully into that. The second type is information visualization. It's also a broad term that covers most statistical charts and graphs, but also other visual and spatial metaphors that can be used to represent data sets. Then lastly, infographics. We all know what an infographic is. It's very popular these days to share data, and it's usually combined with visualizations and narrative to explain the data. Right. The second aspect we would like to have a look at here is the importance of knowing your audience while you are working with data visualizations. So this is just a quote by these two ladies. When you tell the right story to the right audience and are able to identify data points that the specific audience can relate to and encourage them to start a conversation, you increase your story shareability and give it the chance of going viral. So this is why this is so important to know your audience and understand them before starting to design your visualization. So your audience preferences will guide every other decision about your visualization. The dissemination mode, the graph type, the formatting, etc. So you might be designing your visualization for your thesis, for policymakers, for funders, the general public maybe, or your own organization's leaders or your supervisor or so forth. So that's very important to just take note of for who are you doing this. And then the type of questions you might need to ask are listed here below. What type of decisions do your viewers make? What information do they might have already available? What additional information can your charts and visualizations provide? And then the last point is quite important, I think, because a lot of the new tools available for visualization creates interactive websites where you hover on the details and see more information, etc. So here, this last question is quite important because you must know if your audience will have the time and also the interest to explore this type of interactive website, or should you rather just design a one page, like an infographic type of thing that can be easily understood at first glance. Okay, so that's just a few questions there. Then there's another few questions about knowing your audience. We already actually looked at that. Who is the data visualization intended for, and what does the audience know about the topic? So here you will need to consider these type of aspects: the audience level of literacy, numerical literacy, the education level and the level of technical expertise, and the job function. So those are the further type of questions that you might ask to get to know your audience better. Then a piece about finding the story in your data, which is also very interesting for me. Data visualization is a form of storytelling. So you can think of your data visualization message as a thesis statement which needs a summary in a few concise sentences. The ability to create a compelling visual argument will be greater if you begin with a clear and a focused message. So the type of story you tell will affect the platform you will use as well. Here we have the example again of infographics that might be more useful for persuading your audience of your point of view, because dashboards will leave more interpretation to your audience, and they will be more on their own to interpret the data by themselves. Okay, and then just the last point here, animations that we should just maybe take care of when we look at visualization, is that animations may be effective for college students, younger people, but not always amongst older adults. That's one of the things that came out here in this section. So now I just want to have a look at some of the history of data visualization, some of the earlier creations that came out, and that in the early mid 1800s, both of them. And these were, for me, types of storytelling as well, but it was also things that could solve problems. And this is what is so interesting for me in these two examples that I'm going to show you. The first one is John Snow's map of a 1854 cholera outbreak in London. And with this, they could identify the point of origin of this outbreak, and they could influence policymakers to improve the water sanitation in that area. So here you will see it's a map, a street map, and they made points here on with for every person that got sick. And you will see here in this area, there's a big concentration. And then they realize it's this water pump here where the problem lies, and from where this outbreak spread it into the bigger London. And they could improve that, and it was, yeah, and the problem was hopefully over time then solved. So the second example here is from Florence Nightingale, and it was her diagrams of causes of death in the Crimean War in 1855, 1854 to 1856 actually. And more soldiers died in this war from preventable illnesses than from battle wounds. And according to these graphs that she set up, they could allocate more resources and give more training to the health workers to be able to solve this problem. So she was actually a pioneer in data visualization with the use of infographics. You will see here, this is graphs, visualizations with a text that with a narrative that explains it further. And yeah, so she was actually a bit like they say here, a pioneer in this type of work. And you will see here, just for interest sake, the gray, what they call blue, but looks gray to me. The gray areas are the number of people who died from preventable illnesses. The pink parts, or red, pink in my norms, are the ones that died from the war itself, from wounds, etc., and the black ones were other causes of death. So you will see here how big the preventable diseases, how big the impact was that on the deaths of the soldiers. In any case, that was just some history. The next piece will be about how to choose your visualization type. And here I would like to show you a few tools that you can use. I'm not going to go into much depth here, but you can also use it afterwards on your own. This graph shows you how you may choose different types of charts. So if you would like to look at comparison of data, distribution of data, composition, relationship, you have all these different options. So for example, you would like to show a distribution of data with two variables, then you will probably use a scatter chart. There may be other options, but this is what this chart recommends. Then when you look at a relationship with three variables or more, you can look at the bubble chart. So that's the type of guidance this will give you. Then there's also a lot of other very nice tools to go and have a look at. This one about the data visualization catalog. I'm going to go to this one now and click through, because I think this is really helpful for you to use. Here you will see, I think it opens up view by list. So this one that you have here is the list, alphabetical list of all the types of visualizations that you may get. You see, it's quite extensive. And then you can also search by function, which might be also more helpful. It will show you a few ads in between. So here then you can also look at comparison, proportions, relationships, hierarchies, location concepts, etc. Lots of different concepts. And then when you click on, for example, comparisons, it will show you the type of visualizations that you can use with comparisons. And then it even goes further to show you with an axis or without an axis. So there's also the difference in that way. So you can click through then on, say, for example, a chloropleth map, and then it will show you the example. It will show you the description, what it's about, and it will also show you a list of tools that you can use to generate this type of visualization. And that's why this is quite a really nice tool to use and explore and see where you can find what to assist you with your decision making. Okay, but I'm now just going to go back to the slideshow for now. Just watch the, oh, sorry, there I click again on the same thing. I wanted to continue to the next slide. This is also from the same tool. It's a blog post on their website that you can also have a look at. It also gives you the same type of advice. So in this case, the screenshot I have here is about how to visualize data over time and some of the examples of what you can use for that. A Gantt chart is, of course, one of the things usually used for projects and things like that, but there's also other examples here. A normal timeline as well, but then also steam graphs, spiral plots, etc. Oh, now I click on that image again, sorry. Right, then we can go over to a next. We are still talking about the different visualization types and how to choose it. And here I would like to show you the first source here. It's this one by Angela Zoss that I've talked about earlier. So I have a few slides based on this, but I'm going to also click through to this page rather and show you from there, because I think this might be very helpful for you to have a look at. This is with Angela, and here she divides the advice that she gives here in one-dimensional type of data, two-dimensional, and then it scrolls down to three-dimensional temporal data, etc. So you will see here also she's got nice examples. I'm just going to go to one example. Say, for example, a cartogram. So if you click on that, it takes you to Wikipedia, and which explains more what it is. Sorry. Let me just go back there as well. It shows you what it is, and then if you go back to her guide, you will also see that she gives also advice on which tools to use in this case, D3 and Protovis. So you will see in this case the dot distribution map. She's got quite a few tools that she recommends. Tableau Public as well. That's one of the tools we usually also recommend, which can be used very easily and freely. So what I also just want to mention, not all of the tools that she has in here is necessarily free to use. So that's why we, in the slides I have here, the tools we recommend here is mostly free to use, not all of them as well, but we will come a bit later to the actual tools we recommend. These are still the visualization types, but I just want to mention so long when we look at the tools, we try to look at those that the university subscribe already to, and those that's freely available. All right, so, but I'm not going to go into more depth here. You will see in the multi-dimensional category, there are lots of examples as well. The tree hierarchical category, you've got all those like tree maps, hyperbolic tree, etc. Networks is also very interesting. You can work with node link diagrams, alluvial diagrams, etc. Okay, but that was just to give you some tools also to go to yourself and play around with when you need to decide which type of graph, which type of visualization you need to do. The next thing we're going to talk about here is then the effective use of color. And I've got quite a few slides here, which I'm not all going to go into depth, but this is part of it. It's actually a very important part of your visualization is how you work with a color, with colors, different colors. The use of color is also very subjective. You know, we all have different preferences when we talk about colors, but there are some basic principles to think about when you choose the color for your visualizations. One color theory concept is the HSL model. So it stands for hue, saturation, and luminance. So hue is what most people think of as color: the reds, the blues, yellows, greens, purple, and then each color is plotted on a scale to form a color wheel. The saturation is just another word for the color's intensity. And the luminance describes the spectrum of a hue from dark based on the amount of black that's added to that color. So that's the basic principles on the HSL model. Let's just go on. This is just an example to show you it's the same data, the same visualization, but with different color perspectives. And you can yourself maybe decide which one you like best. Shall we maybe make a choice? You could maybe indicate in the chat area if you prefer number 1, number 2, or number 3, just for some feedback at this stage. But if you're, it will be nice to see which choice you would have. But this all depends on your own. You just go back there. I just want to see if anybody is indicating in the chats what they are. I'm just going there. Oh, nobody's participating. Oh, there it comes now. Sorry, it just took a while for me to see. Oh, sure. Yeah, you see, this is why it's subjective. Everybody has more or less a different choice. I do think number 2 and 3 is coming out more strongly, it seems. All right, but we can continue now with the slides. Thanks for that. The next thing we're going to look at will also be a bit, I want you to play a game. I'm just going to quickly open a page. It's color.method.ac. Maybe Kuchner, you could put this into the chat for the people, the direct link, color.method.ac. And I'm going to so long start with the game and you can just follow me. You will click on this circle and this is just to get to know the colors. And what you have to do is you have to match the colors. You will see how it works when it starts. first we look at you. And now you have to match, you see there, when the color starts to not so very good this time. Yeah, so it sometimes gets a bit more difficult, but take your time. You don't have to rush. So that was not very well done. And then it goes over to saturation. You can do it now in your own time. I'm going to finish the whole thing. It takes a minute or two. You will see this is how it works. You just have to let all the colors match inside the circle. I'm struggling with this one now. I'm not very good with this actually. I'm sure you all will be better than me. And then at the end, it gives you a point of how well you have done or not. Then the next one is complementary colors. So it gets a bit more difficult because you have to match the complementary colors in the circle. There. Like I said, I'm not very well with this, good with this. It gets more difficult and difficult. I'm just clicking now through to finish. And it's the next one has these 3 colors that you have to match. This one is always the more easier one for me for some other reason, not at the moment. Triadic. And it's 3 different colors you need to match. That's not close to each other. I'm just clicking now to finish, but you can take your time. You don't have to rush with this. The 4 colors gets quite difficult if you have to spice it well. Okay, then there's my score, 2.8. So I'm sure most of you will get more than that. You can also, you're welcome to share your point that you scored in the chat if you would like to. But it's not necessary. Just for interest sake, maybe there's a winner. We could have had a competition and had a prize for the highest point. But I see the highest point is, oh, sorry, that was the previous exercise. I will give you another minute or so. You're welcome to share the point if you would like to. You don't have to, just for fun. Maybe you could give me an indication whether you are playing the game or not, otherwise we can continue. But I'll rather give a few minutes. It is nice to do this. Okay. See, someone said that I done. Okay. So let's continue then. Wow, there's someone that scored an 8. That's brilliant. Let's just give some more time to share this. But I also saw that when one has done it a few times, you get to get the hang of it. All right, but let's continue. I think you can do this. You can continue in your own time and still share the point if you would like to. But I think we should continue. We need to finish exactly at at 11 o'clock because there's a next session coming up. The next thing I would like to show you is also a tool. Here are a few slides about the use of color, but I'm not going to go into depth here. You can have a look at it yourself. But the color brewer tool is a very nice tool to use as well for making decisions on which colors to work with. So there's a few steps that you can have a look at. You decide what the colors will represent. It's the first step that you would like to do when you decide on your colors. Then you need to understand your data scale, and the color brewer tools helps you with this to define 3 types of scales that you can work with. It can be either sequential, when data values go from low to high, divergent when the data has data points at both ends of the scale with an important pivot in the middle, or qualitative when the data does not have an order of magnitude. So those are important to choose one of those 3 types of scales, and then you can work with your data, with your colors. The third step will then be to decide how many hues you need. And step 4, look for obvious options in colors. So for example, this is the example of the option. The obvious options is like when you work with weather temperatures, for example, you know the blue will indicate cold and red will indicate hot. So don't then try to use other colors. So if there's obvious colors to use for your data, then use that. And then step 5 is to create your palette and work further with it. Right, so I'm just quickly going to show you this in 1 minute or so. This is how the tool looks. You can just click through from that link and play around with it. The data classes here at the top is the first thing that's important to change. You will see if you the more you choose, the more colors, different versions appear here on the tool. So I'm going to work with 6. And then here is where you choose whether you're working with sequential, diverging, or qualitative data. That's the way it will change accordingly. I'm going to stay with diverging at this point. And then you get the color schemes that you can work with and try out. There's also things that you can choose like colorblind safe, print friendly, photocopy safe, and things like that. And you can also indicate if you work with a map, whether you would like to have roads and cities also indicated, because that will show whether the colors are clear or not. I think in this case, I'm going to rather go back to sequential. I like the more, yeah, like that. And then here is where you will choose then which different, the hex or RGB or CMYK color codings, and then you will see there the codes that you can use accordingly to change on your tool that you are working with. All right, so here is also some guidance how to use. So click on those if you need to have a little bit of more guidance, etc. So have a look at that when you work with colors. It's quite helpful. So now just something short about visualizing your qualitative data. So qualitative data consists of non-numeric information that doesn't involve measurements or quantities, as you would know. So when you work with qualitative data, you will code that data. And the analysis often use the method of marking a certain section of data with this particular code when it falls into a specific theme or category. We have heard a lot about this yesterday with yesterday's talk on qualitative analysis, qualitative methods. And tools like Atlas TI and the DOs are very helpful with assisting with this coding, and then also the visualization thereof. In both of those tools, they have the visualization tools built in, so you don't need to use another tool to use that. And the good news is, I hope you all know about that already, is that Atlas TI, the campus does have a campus license now for that very recently, and so that's very exciting news. Text analysis, the analysis of the structure and the linguistic features of a collection of text in order to detect measurable patterns. So this is to do with when you have to analyze text. So with like coding, text analysis allows us to visualize qualitative information in a quantitative way. And simple text analysis can be performed with a user-friendly tool like Voyant, but more complex analysis might require a programming language such as Python. So this is just to show you a bit more about the ways to work with qualitative data. There are like 3 methods listed here that one can use in visualizing qualitative data. The first one is illustrative diagrams. If you want to produce a data visualization, but you don't have any kind of data set to work from, you most likely will need to create an illustrative diagram, like this example here at the top. This diagram will involve basic shapes such as flowcharts or mind maps, things like that, which you can usually easily make with a Microsoft PowerPoint slide, or there's obviously a lot of other tools that you can also use to do that. Detailed or complex illustrations will be made with professional design software like Adobe Illustrator. Then the visualization methods with coded text and text analysis will be these 2 examples of it's a heat map or a word cloud will be the best way to visualize those type of analysis. So the middle one here is how a heat map will look, where you work with a different code. So each code has a different color, and so this is not so clear because there's no categories indicated, but it's how a heat map will be designed. But yeah, both these tools of Atlas TI and the DOs have this built in where you can just create your visualization after you've coded your data. Okay, then to go on to visualizing networks. This is also very interesting and a nice way to work with data. Network analysis examines the relationships between different entities, such as collaborations between researchers. interactions between genes or communications between people in a company. So there's a vast number of examples here of network analysis. It can be used for a wide range of purposes, also from simply studying the structure of a community to solving a complex math or engineering problem. So network visualization is the visual component, a component then to the network analysis. And there are a variety of types of these network visualizations. Here are a few. This one below is a node link diagram. The one in the middle is a chord diagram, and the one here on the right-hand side is a Sankey diagram. But you will also find more guidance on this LibGuide that I've linked here. If you want to look at that afterwards, we will need to finish shortly. So I'm going over now to the tools for data analysis and visualization. And as I said, I'm not going to go at all in depth here because you will receive the slides afterwards and you can go through it in your own time. But I just want to give a quick overview of it. It's also available on our library guide of the research process, where we have a section about data visualization. This link will take you there. So this list is also it's divided in these different categories. The first one will be tools for data cleaning, then purely just statistical analysis. The third one is for visualization applications and services. And then a fourth one for some help on coding and codes and things to work with. The fifth one, GIS and mapping. Temporal data analysis, text and word clouds that we've already looked at. And then lastly, infographics and social and other network analysis tools. So let's just slide quickly through this. For data cleaning, of course, Excel is a great tool. And on each of these slides, we have a short description and then also where to learn more with links on where to find more help on these tools. I've attended the Excel course last week by the post that was presented through the postgraduate office, and I just want to say you can never underestimate the value of Excel. There are so many things that if you learn, you get to know it properly. There is so much you can do with it. Then the next, sorry, it's froze. Then there's also Data Wrangler for data cleaning. I'm not going to go into depth here. OpenRefine is also a very good tool for working with messy data and to clean up messy data. I would really would like to recommend you to have a look at this. It's a very nice tool and easy to use. Then there's the next category of statistical analysis. We've got R here first, which is the language and environment for statistical computing and graphics. The one disadvantage of R is that it runs on the command line, and it means that users will have to take time to learn which commands to do what. But there is also programs that work with it, like RStudio, which assist you with working with it a bit in an easier way. So you can have a look at this. We will hopefully next year also have courses on R and RStudio. It's usually part of the data carpentries that exists, and we will try to have a few of those, maybe later this year as well, but definitely next year, to assist you with that. Then a few other statistical tools. These are all available through our Campus IT's software hub. And this is important to know of. It's software and solutions, SAS, SPSS, Statistica, Mathematica, Atlas DI, and others. So what you do, this link, you go to the software hub. I'm going to click through on that quickly. If you don't know about this, it's very important to know about this one. And it then gives you this folder student software. And you might need to sign in with your campus network username and password. And then you get all these folders for the different systems that's available, programs that's available for the whole campus to use. So there you will see Atlas TI, and you will, if you click on the folder, you will get manuals and also then how to subscribe, and you download it from here directly to your own computer laptop. So you don't have to contact IT for help on this also, except if you struggle with something, but it is available here for direct downloads. Okay, let's just go on. I'm not going to go into more depth here. Atlas, but more about Atlas TI. I just can't get over the fact that we now have it on campus for everybody to use. It was such a struggle to get there, but it is now available. The DOOS is another very nice data analysis software program, qualitative data analysis. You do pay a little bit, but it's very affordable, and you only pay for the months in which you use it and you're actually working on your project. So it's not that you subscribe for the whole year or very expensive monthly payments. It's a really very affordable option to have a look at. Tableau Public is now then purely for visualization applications and services. We do have a course in Tableau Public, which we will repeat in the second semester. So you are welcome to look out for that. It's free, like the word says, public. It's easy to use, and you can create a lot of interesting visualizations with using Tableau Public. The same for Microsoft Power BI. It's freely available on our campus because we subscribe to Microsoft 365. So you can just go into Microsoft 365 and you will find the option of Power BI, and also a nice tool to use for visualizations. And then there's things like Google Studio, Google Data Studio, raw graphs. I'm quite a fan of raw graphs because it's so easy to use. You have to know a bit what your data is about, but you basically just copy and paste your data in a screen or upload an Excel file and choose your data type, and it generates a very nice graph for you. Maybe I'm quickly going to click through to that. We have like a few minutes left. I just want to show you quickly how easy it is. I'm going to upload the file. Kugner, are there maybe questions at the moment or not?
No questions at the moment.
Okay.
There was just one for a link to the IT Hub.
Okay, good. And you could assist with that, I assume?
Yes, I did.
Okay, thanks so much. I just quickly want to grab a file quickly. I thought there should be, oh no. Oh, there you are. Oh, you know what the easiest way is? They have sample data samples, so let's just quickly choose one of those. I'm going to look at Sankey diagram, or one of these. So it pastes the data, but when you upload a Excel file, it will do exactly the same. It pastes the whole set of data in here. And then you need to choose your chart. I'm going to keep it with alluvial diagram. You will see there's lots of options. It also will give you a summary of what it is and how to work with it. And then the third step is to map. You have to choose what you add to the chart variables. And if you do something wrong, like here, which won't work, it shows you in red. If it's a correct choice you made, it's green. So I'm just going to keep with this for now. It's quite a busy diagram. There's lots of data in it, but this is how it will then quickly generate an alluvial diagram for you. You can make it look a bit more prettier. You can make it smaller. You can do a lot of things with it here on the left-hand side, and then also work with colors and labels, etc. And then you, at the end, when you're finished, you can export it with usually like a JPEG or PNG file is the best way. Right, so just to quickly show you that, it's a really nice tool to use. Let's just finish up. I'm not going to go through the rest. We have quite a few slides here that Kuchner also helped with, because he actually helps me to present this workshop. I just want to say, if we work with GIS and mapping, you can also contact the geography department, because they are the experts in this. So that's just something to note. Temporal data analysis, and then again, text, word clouds. You can use Wordle for that. It's very easy to use Wordle. It works well. Infographics, Canva, Infogram, Engage, a few examples of tools. And then also network analysis. Giphy and NodeXL are two tools that we could recommend there. If you work at, you would like to visualize network data related to how researchers collaborate with each other. Also, then there's a tool, VOS Viewer, that's also free and also very good to look at. Right, so here are a few references, a few useful links. These are also some of the links that we've used for the presentation. And yeah, if there's any questions now, you're welcome to let me know, and I will try to answer, but I think our time has run out a bit.
Yes, you're welcome to unmute yourself if you want to ask a question.
Morning.
Morning.
My question is this: if I need to visualize different recipes, so I have different dishes and all of them have different amounts of different ingredients in there, how would you go about visualizing and comparing those dishes?
I don't know. Sorry, that's a very interesting question. Like recipes and dishes, that's really a very interesting one. Does anyone else have maybe a bright spark idea here on how to do that? You want to compare?
Yeah, I would like to have it in some form where I can look at the page of, let's say, 5 or 6 different recipes and pick out the differences. So maybe they're all related, maybe they're all beef dishes, but they're slightly different. So that you can we have an idea of the difference in taste, but we would like to see if there's a correlation between the way in which it's prepared, or at least the ingredients that go into it.
Yeah. The ingredients, yeah. If we, I also think here, Dr. Fontaine has advice here on the chat, perhaps a word cloud, because you will have to work with text, yeah, and a text analysis to find then that, that correlation then. I think I see Bronwyn said need a way of comparing proportions of ingredients. Is that also what you meant?
Well, at the
Not
moment,
really.
I'm really just looking at the absence or presence of an ingredient in a recipe.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was looking at something like, now I've forgotten that I had it open. It looks like a Christmas tree kind of graph with all the ingredients, with just the bars with the amount of that ingredient in there. And then having lots of those on the page where you can kind of see the structure and compare the amounts of. But if it's just absence and presence, you end up getting something that kind of looks like a key instead of a tree.
Yes. Mr. Bongani, Siviwe Bongani has advice here as well. Maybe this can be divided into. Oh, sorry. It's just a suggestion that it's not related to your question, it seems. Yeah, are there any dietitians that can help with our question? But yeah, maybe we could also think a bit about it and come back to you. Will that be helpful?
Perfect, thanks.
Yeah, it's a very interesting question.
Marié, I wanted to suggest that perhaps you can work with him so that in future at least you know as to how it's done. This is not something that we claim to be experts in. I'm sure you don't as well. Data visualization is very broad. So it's something that you can learn as we go, with this. So I think perhaps you can work with them so that you can, also.
Yes, that's why I suggested now that we look further into it and I will communicate to him further and work together with him.
Yeah, but it will be very interesting.
Definitely. Thank you, Siviwe. All right. Any other type of questions? That it doesn't, but we had a lot of advice here. Dr. Fontaine also advised on the heat chart, maybe for often occurring ingredients. Yes, that's also a good point. But one can maybe use a tool like it will have to work with some coding or text analysis. It seems. So those tools that work with that should maybe helpful, but let's have a separate session about that. Mr. I can't see your name now. I see only your student number.
Marcus Kruger.
Excuse me?
My name is Marcus Kruger.
Marcus Kruger, thank you so much. So that I just know that I can come back to you. Another hand, I see another hand, or not. Mr. Maseza.
Hi, good morning.
Mrs. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Maybe my question was asked and answered. If I'm struggling with data visualization, is there anyone who maybe can assist, even if I've went through all the websites that you've put up there and I still cannot achieve probably what I want to achieve? Is there somebody who we can contact for that?
Yes, you're welcome to contact me. At this stage, we are busy developing services around this at the library. So we're not, like Siviwe also just said, we're not experts yet, but we can assist you up to a point and then also refer you if it gets more complicated to a specific department or person. So you are very welcome to start out with me, and we can have a discussion and see where we go with it. Right.
Okay, thank you.
Pleasure. But you can also keep an eye on our webpage, because our services will, with time, grow in this regard, and we will let you know what's available and what not. All right. Anything else at this point?
Marié, I see Kirchner is left. There are quite a number of questions that are coming. Maybe I'll just read two, because we are supposed to be on the next one.
Yes.
It says, any tools to assist in compositions of infographics?
Yeah. I can maybe quickly go to our. I'm just going to go to our. It's Canva is the one that we usually use, but there's another very good one. I just quickly want to go to our guide, our research process library guide, and on data visualization, and there under, I will share that now. Infographics, Vengage is the other one that's quite good. Let me just share that quickly on the screen. Thank you, Siviwe, for assisting here, because I realize that we are. So it's the research process library guide on the analyze, collaborate, and create step. You will see data visualization, and then we have these three these pages on this, and the visualization tools and programs page. You scroll down and see infographics, and they are the few that we recommend to use. Canva we use a lot ourselves. Vengage is similar, but it also works very well. And then there's two others as well to have a look at. All right. Other questions?
There's one that says, is there a particular department to contact for Atlas TI? Just quickly.
Yes, there is a person, Lauren Waldscott, that's at Crest, and she is actually the guru on campus, and I think she will be the best person. Let me just type her name in the chat. Maybe Alison, if she's still around, could also advise whether it's fine to contact Lauren. Not sure if Alison Buchholz is still in the call. No, it doesn't seem like it. Okay. Some other questions? Is that with that all questions?
Let me just quickly check for you now, Marié.
Thanks.
But some of them, they say they will contact you. Some are just happy with the presentation. So yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, good. Yeah. No, thank you so much for attending, everybody. And I think we can close the session then. And please contact me if you need further help, and then we can see what we can do. Thank you also, Siviwe, for facilitating the last bit.